Welcome to Rauta. This video is done in commercial collaboration with our sponsor, Steelfest. Hola, bienvenido, Black Metal Review. This time we go to Ecuador and share with you a tragic story. Well, at least in the terms of this being a tribute to a lost brother in arms, Vrolok from Ecuador. Mind you, this particular Vrolok has nothing to do with the Norwegian counterpart of the same name, so in case you're confusing things here, there it is, said. Now, this one is kind of a coming with a long title, Memories from the Fullmoon Forest of Melancholy in Memorian Vrolok 1991-2021. As you can pretty much figure out, this is kind of a tribute or in memoriam kind of release to Mr. Vrolok, who unfortunately passed, in the age of 30, so very young to go. And sometimes life treats us in a shitty way, and this is a good way for those bands to just, do this kind of a tribute to him, and may he have walked to greener pastures and all. This one features 6 tracks with about 50 minutes of music from 6 different bands. A couple of those being exactly, Vrolok's own bands, Vampiric Rites and I think Dungeon Steel. Those were the two names he had apart. I don't know how much he had invested time and effort and how big a role he had in those bands, but nonetheless, these are some of the bands he was involved with. But this compilation features music beyond his own projects, obviously, and as such, these are all listed here on Metal Archive site as individual tracks and individual bands. So 6 bands, 6 songs, and mostly focusing on Ecuadorian black metal. Now, because the nature of this release, I would very, very much like to praise all the songs here and say like, yeah, this is so beautiful. I mean, blah 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 blah. Things like this happened when Euronymous in Norway was murdered, killed, and all. And lots of Norwegian black metal bands did put out a nice tribute album to him, featuring a bunch of great tracks back in the 90s. Unfortunately, Vrolok didn't exactly get the same kind of treatment when it comes to musical quality. The thing here is, this is very, very mediocre demo level release, except maybe one song, and in that respect, it isn't much of a great tribute album. I mean, it's the idea that counts, right? But when it comes to the songs here, can't really say it's worth buying it blindly or anything like that. What you have to understand about the Ecuadorian, scene and music style, and by no means I claim to be an expert with this, but having heard a few of these bands is that none of these bands are exactly big or successful or anything like the next big thing. I mean, these are no Dark Thrones or, Mayhems or Emperors and the like, but more like small scene underground bands which are there doing their own stuff. Some of them are better, some of them are worse, but none of them are really like, wow, really good stuff. And unfortunately, this seems to be the case with this tribute album as well. Now, some of these songs are really lengthy, like 10 minutes and beyond, and unfortunately, the quality doesn't really justify that. It's more like putting 10 minutes on a track that could have been like decent with 3-4 minutes, but just overextending the whole idea here, which just makes me more hurt when I'm listening to this album. The other thing is, none of these songs are good in any other ways, and there are even weird parts like this track number 4, Primavera. It's more like, why on earth there are these cheesy bedroom black metal parts where it sounds like just crap. It's not a horrible song, but it feels like it was done by some elementary school person starting his very first own band. So it's more like insult to injury rather than a good track. However, there is one track which I want to mention here, which is definitely worth listening to, and it's this Dungeon Steel track, Count. And that's the kind of exception on this album because it's more like speed heavy metal rather than black metal. And I think, and I previously have featured Dungeon Steel's own release in my reviews, that's kind of a standing out from the crowd in terms of Ecuadorian scene. Now, Vampiric Rights is another band that has some better tracks here and there, but this is not exactly excelling the thing here. Now, to sum it up, of all these six tracks, I think 5 out of 6 are forgettable, and this Dungeon Steel is pretty much the only one that keeps up the beacon of hope, if you will. Nonetheless, this idea is nice, and the tribute album concept is something that needs to be considered as maybe, yeah, but is it worth, you know, buying this album just because want to tribute your fallen brother or anything like that? Not so much. I'm not saying that this is some kind of a commercial thing or this is something try to cash out for the death of this individual person. But I don't really know if this is worth releasing on a CD. Maybe this could have been on some I don't know free to download Bandcamp site thing or whatever, or maybe YouTube download or whatever. But as such, not really worth your time. It's sort of an end of black metal and a kind of a easy way to get to know Ecuadorian scene nowadays. But musically, it's just not good, and that's what I want you to know. But of course, you decide for yourself, and you will get to know these bands via Bandcamp information. Links are provided in the description box, so listen to them if you like, but don't tell you haven't been warned. This is Rauta. See you soon with next review. Maybe some better stuff coming your way.